How's it going, guys? It's Poacher Sud, and welcome to the Emperor expansion for European Vassals 4. Paradox has been nice enough to send me a review copy, and so we'll be playing this over the next few days, and beyond, obviously, but the next few days before it releases. If you're watching this, you should be watching this on June the 6th. Well, I mean, I don't know when you're watching this, but this is when the video is coming out, I believe, June the 6th. And I will be streaming the day that this video goes live. So if you're watching it soon after release, then I might be live, and there should be a Twitch link in the description below. Either way, thanks for Paradox for letting me do this. It comes out, the expansion comes out on June 9th, so 3 days from when this video is coming out. We're going to be playing today. We'll talk a little bit more about the features and stuff in a bit. But for now, let's go and get started. You can see I've already been playing a bit. I've done a Bavaria run and a Switzerland run. Neither of them got past 1500, I don't think. But, you know, I mostly just wanted to test out the new mechanics so I wasn't walking in blind, right? I don't keep up religiously with the development diaries. We're going to go and get started here. If you don't know from the name of this video, we're going to be doing a Burgundy run, trying to form Lotharingia, because that's the thing you can do now, which is pretty cool. So I believe, let's go and just hop in here. I you can see, I did a test run of 10 years of Burgundy. But this is going, I didn't get that far, and it wasn't Iron Man. This is just going to be, this is where we're really going to dive into Emperor. I've played a bit, but I haven't seen past the first 50 years of the game. And if you don't know me, lots of people don't necessarily like playing EU4 into the late game. Personally, I find the late game of EU4 just as enjoyable as the early game. It's different, but I find it enjoyable for other reasons. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I believe that, I'm not sure about this, but I believe if you don't have the DLC, you can still form Lotharingia. It's just that it's not part of the mission tree like it is for us. Burgundy has a mission tree that deals with them being sort of, you know, sandwiched between the Empire and France, and you know, having imperial land and non-imperial land, and it deals with that, and we'll get talking about that as we get going. But I believe you can form Lotharingia through decision normally. So I don't believe this is the tag, Lotharingia tag, is not DLC exclusive, just so you know. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and actually, before we get really going, I'm going to read, I'm just going to quickly go over the features that are in the patch so I can kind of keep in my mind and you can know what is in the free patch and what isn't. So the stuff that is paid for are the hegemonies, which we'll talk about, unique mission trees for a bunch of things, right? The religious mechanics, which we'll get to, Hussite and Defender of the Faith. Revolutions are revamped, the HRE is revamped, and the Pope is revamped, although Catholicism is also revamped, and that affects everyone, and that is, I believe, part of the free patch, whereas the Golden Bulls that you can see here, and some other stuff, like I think appointing the Cardinals as the Pope, is paid. I don't know exactly which parts of the whole Empire rework are part of the DLC and which aren't, but the dev diaries do cover that more in depth. I'm not going to go into that here. We're going to go ahead and get started, though. So as you can see, we have a reworked mission tree. I've actually never played as Burgundy ever. I'm pretty sure this is my first time, besides the test run. I've never found them to be that interesting. I thought it was kind of like, why wouldn't you just play France if you're going to play right there anyways? But no, Burgundy does have a unique situation where you have French cultural land, but you have 3 personal unions to start that are all pretty strong, and a vassal in Nevers. Like, you have a pretty interesting spot. You start with a little bit of a vassal swarm. You start between the Emperor and France. It's certainly an interesting spot, I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, France rivaling us is pretty bad, because in my test run, I actually had something that I was going to try to replicate here, which is allying France early on and taking Calais in the First War. But we can do that anyways on our own. That is not a big deal. Definitely allying Austria is the way to go. So, without going too in-depth about our mission tree, a lot of the stuff at the start is just getting our vassals happy and under control, and that's going to be one of our early goals. But we do also, there's a thing, we could actually ally England, but I don't think that's definitely not necessary early on, especially because we're probably not going to be going, well, maybe this would be good to do. Get all their vassals angry. That's another thing. I shouldn't just gloss over the fact that the Vassal Swarm of France is back. If you never played EU4 or in the earlier patches, it used to be similar to this, where France would actually have a Vassal Swarm at the start of the game. I believe a lot of these same vassals, Auvergne and Bourbonnais, I don't remember if Orléans was one of them, and I'm probably butchering all these pronunciations, but yeah, France actually was a what had this vassal swarm before, and then they changed that. So it's kind of interesting to see that they went full circle from having decentralized France to having centralized France to now having decentralized France again. Beyond that, before we get going, let's talk about some of the map changes. There's a lot of cool little things. So for instance, Croatia starts as a subject of Hungary rather than integrated. Croatian was already a thing. Bosnian culture is new. Slovene culture is new. This one's really cool. Dalmatian culture is new, a Latin culture that is on the east coast of the Adriatic, which is historical. There's a basis for that. There is Lower Saxon now instead of Westphalian being all of this. And I think there was something else. Frisian. Frisian is cool that they added a independent Frisian culture, even if it's just 3 provinces. That's pretty cool, and it's historical. I don't think there's any French new ones. No, there isn't. But yeah, that is, I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of Swiss culture has been grown quite a bit as well. Let's see. Yeah, it's no longer this weird little clump of Piedmontese culture in French area. It's Occitan, which I believe, I'm not an expert on Occitanian history, but I believe that is more accurate, because I know even today the border between Italy and France has a lot of mixture and diversity there. Let's go and get started here before I blabber my mouth off. We'll rival England, and I don't really want to rival France, actually, because there's a chance we might be able to ally them later, and that might be good. Well, I don't know. We'll rival... Let's see, who is Austria rival to? They're rival to France, though, so maybe we should. I'll tell you what, we'll rival France, and we'll rival Denmark back as well. That seems fine to me. So, we're going to go and get started here, because of a lot of this early game is going to be sitting here. Hold on, I think my volume is too loud. It seems like it's good for you guys, maybe. Hold on. I apologize. Very unprofessional. Here we are. There we go. So a lot of this early game stuff is going to be revolving around keeping our vassals happy, and yeah, improving with all of our vassals so that they are happier and that we can eventually integrate them, right? And we want to integrate Nevers pretty early on, right? But so we're not going to be doing a whole bunch of wars right off the bat. Don't get me wrong. We're going to kind of be chilling here for a little bit, and that is okay because it gives us time to talk about what's going on. Because I've noticed that the early game, which is when most people play, anyways, has a lot of changes. For instance, this one. No longer is it that the Shadow Empire is just an event that happens, and then you have a certain amount of time till it used to be till 1490. To conquer everything. You now have, I think it's still till 1490, but you have other ways to get people in the Empire. People can join the Empire, and it seems more likely that they'll join. And I believe also if you ally people, it affects it. So I know that I've seen the Papal States, in 2 of my other runs, I've seen the Papal States join the Empire, and some of the other minor states as well. Italy has been reworked as well, map-wise, if you can't tell. A lot of new provinces, not a ton, maybe like 8 more or something like that up in northern Italy. Milan, I was always annoyed how Milan was just like butted right up against Switzerland. There's a good chunk of land before it reaches the mountains even. So, and in Germany as well, like look at Bavaria. Bavaria no longer starts united. It is now 3 countries, really, Ingolstadt, Munich, and Landshut, who all have the same dynasty. And I did one of my test runs as them, like I said, and it was fun. Didn't get that far, but yeah, there's a lot of new provinces. For instance, down here, like Memmingen is a lot smaller, Bregenz, Constance. I'm not going to go through all of them. Suffice it to say, there's at least, I think, a dozen or 24 provinces added into the Empire, which is definitely going to make it harder to conquer, and definitely makes the Empire stronger as a result. There's a lot more princes that can exist, for instance. But yeah, so for now, we're just going to I think we're just going to chill here, because I don't really want to I don't know, go to war with lots of people yet. So what do we want to do? As far as our missions go, the Papal Relations mission would be good. Let's talk about estates for a bit. The estates have been completely reworked. It's now no longer sort of the... they now no longer control any land. There's no estates map mode, which I don't even know where that used to be, but there's no estates map mode anymore because there's no way to give land to the estates. There's no estates tab here. This is the states tab, not estates. But yeah, so the states, what was I gonna say? The estates no longer are given land directly. It's abstracted, and I think this is honestly a better way to do it. These are very early opinions, right? Don't expect these to be well thought out, but just my first hunch is that this is going to be a little less annoying to deal with. There are penalties for having less than 30% of your land being controlled by the crown. So right now we have a pretty significant penalty, but we can get rid of that with these buttons. These are like kind of the overarching buttons, and I was pretty surprised right off the bat how much there is to do, because so you have these buttons which deal with the crown land. You can sell off crown land, or you can seize land, or you can summon a diet, which we'll get to in a second. That's actually why I brought it up. We're going to do that in a moment here. But also, each estate has interactions, a lot of them, and I was surprised by how many there are. So for instance, if you want to give people, some of them don't really have a lot of effects, like this one, the right of council. You give them a higher baseline nobility, so in other words, it starts trending higher, but you lose maximum absolutism. Wow. And I think that's normally a pretty good trade. Their influence gets higher. I found that it's pretty hard actually to get their influence or their loyalty that high, which means it's okay to do quite a few of these, I think, in my very limited experience. So we're going to summon a diet here, because basically summoning a diet is, I think it's a kind of a way of bringing back the old mission system, actually. That's what it kind of seems like to me, and I think that's a good thing. Because essentially, you get 3 missions to do here. So, for instance, the Improved Papal Relations Agenda. You basically get a mission to improve the Pope's opinion of you. If you complete it, then they gain loyalty. The clergy gains loyalty. You have a choice for each of them. And there's no downside to taking them, except if you fail, you have 20 years to do it. That's pretty reasonable, I think. And so I was hoping we'd get one that I got last time, where you get a claim on Calais, and if you conquer Calais, you get bonuses, but I think that's okay. So it's okay for Calais. We'll do the Papal Influence one, actually. That seems not too bad. It just involves... I actually think we should ally the Pope. I think they'd be a fine ally. Maybe Milan might be a good one. Actually, now I'm thinking about it too. We basically want people that will help us against like Savoy and France. I'm not sure there's a lot of people that will hate both of them. But Savoy... Actually, Savoy might be a good ally, because they hate Provence. And, well, they don't have an heir. You know what? I'm going to ally Savoy. We can always break that later, right? But for now, I think that's fine. So, yeah. So we are getting penalties, seeing as we don't have enough crown authority. So here's what we do. We do that as long as... And so the way it works with nobility now is if they hit... If they hit anything below 30, there's a chance that rebels will spawn. I don't think it's a monthly chance. I think it's just a chance they will spawn if they go disloyal. I'm not sure about that. We'll probably find out this campaign. And again, it tends up towards the equilibrium, which is dependent on other factors. So yeah, and I have found that it's fairly easy to keep the nobility, to keep all the estates fairly happy, and yourself without a penalty. So yeah, what's our goals? I think our goals are going to be to follow the mission trees. For one, doing this one, securing the succession. This one is the more important one for us, because if we can do it, if we get the Burgundian succession crisis, I'm not sure what the event looks like from the player side. I've seen that now, the most common thing now, I think, is that Austria gets a personal union over Burgundy, not a inheritance. And I'm curious to see what our options will be when we get it. If we have that happen, we will be able to join the Empire. And that's what we want to do, because that, I believe, is what... I think this event here, the Crown of Lothair, is Lotharingia. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure that's what will make us form Lotharingia. So, yeah. Although there is stuff also as well to get like claims on all of the France region. There's some pretty cool stuff in the mission tree. I haven't even looked at everything. Claims on Italy, right? Basically, you're trying to reform. Our goal is to reform the Frankish Empire. The legacy. Yes, that's how you say that word. The legacy of Lothair, but also of Charlemagne, right? So yeah. So this is the thing with the Golden Bull. The Curia controller can decide to issue these things, these Golden Bulls. I'm not sure how long they last. They last until the current Pope dies. There you go. See, that's why I got to read the text. And they are essentially our bonuses that affect every Catholic country. And this one is development cost, tolerance to heathens. That's fine. Tolerance to heathens, not too interesting necessarily. But here, let's go and get a claim on England in case we see our opportunity here. So here, let's take a second to talk about a lot of talking this episode and not a lot of playing. I apologize. That's gonna be how it is. There's a lot to talk about. I think this this expansion changes quite a few. And as always, if you think whether or not you think it's worth the money or if the free patch is just worth it for you, that is up to you to decide. I merely want to play it so people can kind of see what it's about. So Bohemia has Hussite religion at the start of the game. I'm pretty sure they have tons of events about it. I haven't played as them yet, and I do want to. But that is, they are. I'm sure you can flip to them if you play as them, which makes it interesting. I'm curious to see how that'll play out in most games. If Hussite Bohemia will be a thing. And that kind of relates, again, religion has been reworked in another way. The Defender of the Faith bonus is now different depending on who you you guys, please don't let Provence walk to here. I'm pretty sure that's what they're about to do. That's really annoying. Please don't do that. Please, Flanders, don't do that. Is there a way to do this? I don't think there is. Come on. Provence. Really? Hostile. Can I, if I do a hostile attitude, will you cancel your access to them or something? I don't know, dude. That's annoying. So, I was going to say, Defender of the Faith, well, nothing I can do about it now. That sucks. Defender of the Faith has been reworked so that the bonus is dependent on the tier of the religion, which is dependent on how many countries follow that faith. And so at Tier 1, I've only seen Tier 1 and Tier 5. Tier 1, I believe it's just the missionary and the missionary maintenance cost, I believe. And then it adds on with each one. I'm not sure which come from which tiers. We might find out if we switch to Protestant. But either way, there's a lot of stuff that happens. Here is something else that's interesting. Naples can have an event to break free early on. It's actually very interesting that Naples, I've seen them stick with Aragon, but I've also seen them break free from Aragon by event. And I think that's pretty cool. So beyond all the other changes, Naples now has a choice to break free. And I think that's cool because I'm pretty sure Naples, in real life, Naples was just flipped back and forth. It's like, oh, here, the French rule it for a while. And then the Germans, the Austrians or whoever. And then the Aragonese, it was back and forth. And so I think that's pretty good. We do have a regency here. As Burgundy, that's kind of that's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? That we get a regency council and our succession will be up in the air as a result. Anywho, I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee here. There's a lot of other little changes. For instance, another culture group, Sorbian has been added, which I believe has, Sorbian culture, like remnants of that still exist today. Maybe it's called something else. I don't remember. But anyway, so that's cool that this group got a new culture. Again, I do like the fact that Slovenian is a thing and Bosnian are things now. I feel like that was well needed. There's another big change I haven't even mentioned. And for those of you who are the more trade-focused type, you'll probably immediately see the difference when I do this. There's two big ones here. First off, the Genoa trade node has been split in two, which is pretty significant, seeing as the Genoa trade node used to cover all of this land And it was very powerful as a result. It was, in my opinion, the most powerful endgame trade node. Closely followed, maybe even tied with the English Channel, you could say. But yeah, it was certainly a big one here, right? Genoa now is only Western Italy and Provence, whereas Valencia now is all of the Aragonese crown over here, and Toulouse. And I think that is actually fairly fitting. This is actually, I think, a good way of representing, because definitely this area was different than Sevilla, so it makes sense that it's different there. And definitely southern France was connected to like Catalonia and Valencia. So I think it makes sense to split it in two. And so Sevilla and Tunis flow into what's it called, Valencia, and then Valencia flows into Genoa. So I think that's kind of cool. It's one more step for the Genoa trade, so the Italians can't get so rich off of like colonial trade. Pest is also a thing. Pest has been split off from part of Constantinople and part of Vienna. The Vienna node has been greatly reduced in size, but also there are a lot more provinces there, so I think it evens out. And the Pest node is now a thing, and I think that makes a lot more sense than the way it was before. The Pest node represents like Hungary and Romania, Transylvania, you know, sort of that the Carpathian Basin, right? So, anyways, let's continue here. Again, I apologize for all the blah blah. But I hope you realize that it is just part of the process of getting started in new expansion. There's a lot to talk about, and if you all obviously, or most of you at least, probably don't have early access to it, so I don't want to just talk about stuff as if you all know what I'm talking about. Although lots of people I know keep up with the development diaries a lot more than I do. A lot of people actually, wait, Epirus? Oh, that's right, Epirus is a thing now. I don't know why I'm surprised. They're one province in minor, so not really a huge change. Not like they're probably going to have great chances of surviving. But still, it's always cool when new tags are added, new challenges for people to do, new sort of ideas for challenge runs, stuff like that. Placate subjects. Sure, no reason not to do that now. We get a permanent claim here, and if anything, this could be a good thing to do. Provence is allied to France. Obviously, that sucks. But if France sways, if they aren't willing to defend, I will hop on that. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and can we get the clergy loyal? Not above 60, not easily. It is a bit harder to kind of jump up or push up the state's loyalty like all at once, like you could before with the call diet options or I don't know, all those options, right? But it is more stable now. It's a more stable and slower change, which is not a bad thing necessarily. Here, we need to do our mission with the Pope. I'm not going to ally them after all, but I will do this. So, so yeah, I think that there's been a lot of quality of life changes as well that we'll kind of see as we get going. One of the big ones is that lots of diplomatic actions, including suing for peace, happen instantly. You don't have to unpause and repause. It'll happen instantly as soon as you hit the send peace offer button, which is kind of cool. It's a very minor thing, but it is nice. Let's see. Savoy has been excommunicated. Rip. They're my ally. I like them, so that sucks. If Portugal... Oh, Portugal's not even... Did they not defend England? They did. Why aren't they in that war then? Oh, because it's an event war and France is the defender. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Let's just wait for a bit. Yeah, we're just gonna sit. We're just gonna sit here for a little bit. Savoy doesn't have an heir still. I'm really hoping we might be able to get something going on there, right? As far as the new mission trees, I'm not sure exactly all the countries that have new missions, but I know that Switzerland has one because I played as them. I know Bavaria has one. If you manage to form Bavaria, well, even the minor ones all have a Bavarian tree. I know. I mean, obviously Austria and Bohemia have been reworked and stuff. I'm pretty sure like Saxony has one. I feel like I'm pretty sure what they've done with some of them is like I'm pretty sure like Franconia is a formable nation now. I'm not sure about that because I haven't played in that area, but I think that there is because I've seen countries that have like permaclaims and stuff. I don't remember exactly. I think Swabia might be a formable nation now as well. Again, I'm not sure about that, but looked at the like mission tree for some of these guys a little bit. So again, I don't want to spread false news. I just know that there are a lot more of these mission trees now. Disloyal estates, why? That's weird. Here, well, I'll give you, I'll do this. That'll be good. Honestly, light ship cost and trade power. Let's do that. Why not? Give them some things here. Knowing him from cloth and silk is pretty annoying because that's, I still want to do that one. But yeah, I actually, so far, I've really liked the estate system. It's a lot to kind of take in. Once you kind of like start thinking about these things, you're like, oh, okay, well, we can give up income from certain sources for good income short term, and then it can be revoked or extended, right? And beyond that, the loyalty change is good for it. So there's a lot of interesting things there. I found it quite interesting. But yeah, so there's something else I want to talk about. But tell you what, I think this is a good spot to wrap up this first episode. We've gone over on time a little bit beyond my 20-minute limit. So thank you all for watching. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of talking, but hopefully you've enjoyed me kind of talking about my perceptions of the new mechanics and how they work and stuff. Hopefully it's been fun or helpful. And yeah, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you have enjoyed this series, getting a lot of support on the early episodes of this series really helps out a lot. And I'll be back. There should be another episode within a few hours from this one. So look out for that. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you in the next episode of the Burgundy campaign.